All right, we'll give them the slow clap. The Miami Dolphins slowly, if you include the Judon signing a couple weeks ago, last week, they have slowly started to almost, I don't want to use the word hope. I don't want to use the word, maybe. Can they win 10 games? So they signed Rasul Douglas. They put us through the whole camp wondering what in the hell are they doing at cornerback? Are we really going to go this young? Is this really the way we're going to? And then they make the 53-man roster yesterday. They get everybody thinking, oh, wow, we're really going to go young and Jason Marshall Jr. and the whole deal. And then this morning, the news breaks that they signed Rasul Douglas. Not complaining. So this definitely, as you look at the team's needs, offensive line, they're addressing some of them. I think when you look at the secondary overall as a whole now, is it the Blackwood brothers all over again? No. But you've got Minka, who's an experienced, at least solid veteran. Rasul Douglas, same thing. So it's not as young and inexperienced as you might think. And of course, we would have loved to have Cater out there. That would have helped as well, even though he's not exactly a grizzled veteran. So Douglas helps because from what it looks like, the Dolphins' strength is going to be this pass rush of with having the ability to just send 3 and 4 guys on any given play while you're rotating guys in and out. And pass rush definitely should be the strength of this team. Rasul helps. How much does he help? He's only going to help so far and is so much as that pass rush stays the way we expect it to be. Most of the quarterbacks, if they have too much time, they're still probably going to be able to target some of our guys. But if we can keep them to a two to three step drop, and they better get rid of the ball or they're going to get planted, then that's how good the secondary is going to be. So I like this move. Why they waited to now to do it, I don't know. Maybe Douglas says I don't want to go through. Maybe he told teams I didn't want to go through a training camp. Apparently, like the Raiders, a couple other teams were interested. So maybe he told teams I don't want to go through a camp, and I'll make my decision when camp is over and all the cuts are done, and I'll see what the depth charts of certain teams look like. So you don't even know if Miami made their cuts knowing that Douglas was going to sign. So there's that end to it. Now, the biggest issue left on this team right now, of course, is the health at running back, which is only so much you can do there. And, of course, offensive line, who's not looked spectacular considering Jackson being out. Apparently, the Texans are looking at possibly trading their left tackle. Maybe you could move him to right. Can Paul play right? Could you do that? Don't know. It doesn't seem like a Greer move. Greer has been willing to help out and really try to remake areas like secondary. He's been happy to help out with the pass rush. You need a wide receiver, I'll go get one. But the offensive line, for whatever reason, he just continues to just be as stubborn as a mule and wants to get away with spending as few resources as possible at those positions. So, but the Douglas is it's good news. How good can this defense be? Health. Is Phillips going to make it a whole season healthy? Chubb, okay. Storm Duck, we're just, there you go, buddy. Hey, how you doing? You're a starting quarter. I mean, we all love the dude, but cool name. But can you play? Are we going to be good there, right? I mean, like it took us a few minutes to get used to Cater. You know what I mean? And then, of course, he's gone. How good can the defense be? I think we're going to do what we've been doing, which is dominate the mediocre to bad teams. But the questions are going to come against Baltimore and Buffalo and Kansas City and, to a lesser extent, the Texans, teams with quarterbacks that can move around and make things happen in by time. That's really going to be the question, because if you neutralize our pass rush by having a mobile quarterback, how long can our corners cover going to be remaining to be seen. We have some depth, but we're also thin in the sense that an injury here or there, if something happens to Minka, if something happens to Douglas or Storm, you know what I mean? And then, of course, the running back position is just everybody's hurt, right? The only guy left really at this point that's healthy and producing is Ollie Gordon. So we'll have to see how that all works out. You hate to see Achan and Wright be down, but if Gordon gets his opportunity and makes the most of it, maybe it'll pay dividends for us as long as he can stay healthy. That's going to be the biggest thing. And of course, that's like the worst possible thing that you could base. If you're a Dolphins fan and you're basing your hopes on health, and then you look over at the quarterback spot and you're like, oh, geez. So, but what I think could happen, and sometimes this happens, could be a situation where the Dolphins' luck would be that Tua stays healthy all year, and then the rest of the team gets decimated by injuries, and we'll still be stuck with Tua and McDaniel, because then the narrative will be like, well, Tua stayed healthy, he had a good year, but the offensive line and the defense, like injuries to other players. I would hate to see that happen, but if you've been a fan of the Dolphins long enough and you think about it, kind of sounds right, doesn't it? Kind of sounds right. So, all right, short and sweet this morning. I just wanted to throw my hat into the ring. I like the Douglas line, obviously, right? I mean, at this point, I was shocked with how young we were going to try to go to corner position. You know, it sounds nice. We're going to go young, but it's like, geez, man, you got to have somebody back there. You got to have somebody back there with some kind of experience. We had Minka, now we got Douglas. So now it's a little bit more like, okay, got some solid guys back there. What's the attitude going to be? It's going to all we're going to find out early on in the year. You know what I mean? We've got the game against the Colts, and then we've got the AFC East. And 2-2. If you go 2-2, right? If you lose you're going to lose to the Bills, and then you lose one of the Colts, Patriots, Jets. Maybe you lose to the Patriots. You know, that's probably what we would expect. We could go 3-1. We could go 1-3. If we go 4-0, everybody is going to panic. I don't even know if this fan base could handle going 4-0 at this point, because that would include that Thursday night win over Buffalo, which, I'm not so sure about that. But we'll see. Health is going to be the biggest thing with this team. So they help themselves. Greer hasn't been terrible this offseason. I've been pleasantly surprised by his willingness to go out there and make some moves, except for the offensive line. But they must really be counting on Austin Jackson to be back. And if he can solidify things, we know the offensive line is decent run blocking. It's the pass blocking that's a whole thing. And that causes so much strife in the fan base, because you have a play like Dolphins had the other day against Jacksonville where Tua has this pressure. And if you freeze frame the play, if Tua goes to the left, he's clear. He's got green grass, but instead he chooses to go to the right, and he basically steps right into a sack, which leads everybody to say, see, Tua sucks. No, it's the offensive line. And it's an exhausting narrative. He's okay. He's good sometimes, and then sometimes he does stupid shit. And unfortunately, nobody will just accept that he's middle of the road with extraordinary talent at wide receiver. So he's had some inflated numbers based on the talent at wide receiver in McDaniel's system. But otherwise, if he was going to be Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, he would have already been one of those guys. So just stay healthy, see if we can win 10 games. But this signing is exactly why I wait until the season, real close to the season, to do like the team prediction and the NFL predictions and all that. We've got all that coming towards the latter half of this week and then the next week. I do the same thing with hockey because, you make a prediction first week of August, and everybody during training camp had the teams get injured guys, and it changes things. So we'll get on that next week. All right, Rasul Douglas, it's not bad. It's not bad. Now, offensive line, please. Greer, Lowe,